We were together for about a year. Life was great. We had a good life together. I was in school when we met to get my CNA license. I had goals set for my life. I was going to become a CNA because, I could work my way through my goals, get my education, and become a nurse. He started stripping me of that. You don't need to work. You can just stay home, take care of the kids. So I did. So
Mm-hmm.
once
Mm-hmm.
again, I gave up my education or lost it. We were together, I want to say about a year, and he was going through a custody battle, and we were kind of forced to get married, I'd say, so we could get custody of his children.
Mm-hmm. Now, who would have compelled you two to get married? Was it him? Was it family?
It was it was his attorney.
His attorney
You
com-,
know, we were we
right.
yeah, and we were engaged to get married.
Mm-hmm.
Just not, and we didn't have a date set.
So the
But
attorney
once
just
I'm married, huh?
so the attorney thought it was a good idea that would help his
Yes,
custody, his existing custody case with his others. How many children was it to the other
he
one?
had two and I had three. We had five between
So
us.
he had two other children outside of you that he was trying to get custody of. And the
Hmm.
attorney thought it would be a good idea that you move the wedding date up because it would look good in
Yes.
court. Okay, I'm with you. Did it turn out that way that he got custody?
Eventually he did. He did get custody of his children.
Eventually it did. Okay, so, okay. I just wanted to kind of clarify that for the viewers.
Yeah. And as we were married, after we got married, little things started, happening. There were times like I couldn't spend time with, just my daughter or my kids. I was being stripped away from my children. He chose one of my kids that he spent the most time with, which was my oldest son. He played the daddy role with him. Um, but my daughter and my youngest son, he was really mentally and emotionally abusive to them.
Mm,
He would do things or say things to trigger my youngest boy to where he would throw tantrums and
mm,
fits, and I wasn't allowed to go places. I wasn't allowed to have my friends. I was told that I needed to stay at home and do my chores.
mm,
Once work was stripped away from me, I would wake up in the mornings and there would be a $20 bill laying on the microwave, and that was my allowance for the day. He knew that that would be enough gas money to get the children to school, get me back, get me something to drink. I remember there were times that my kids would need clothes and I wouldn't be allowed to shop for my children. Uh, I would, I remember sometimes I would get child support and I would put it in my kids' backpack, and their dad and stepmother would come and pick them up. And I would let her know, I'd put money in the kids' bag to please get them some school clothes, and that way it was coming from them.
mm, mm,
Uh, I got so down in my marriage that I weighed 110 pounds. My hair was falling out in the handfuls.
mm.
But as all this was going on, I didn't feel like I was being abused. I wasn't being hit. I didn't have bruises all over my face.
Yes.
I remember standing at the front door one day calling a 1-800 hotline number, peeking out the door, making sure he wasn't going to pull up, asking questions. Um,
So you didn't
my
recognize the signs of abuse because you thought that it was physical abuse was an indication that you were in a relationship
Mhm.
that was not healthy. But any of the other signs, the emotional, the psychological, the
Mhm.
physical, I mean the financial abuse, right? You experienced
Yeah,
all of
it's
that.
fine. I I was monitored on what I was allowed to feed the children. Like it was
Mm,
like living in a boot camp. They were allowed to have dinner and just certain times like snacks. If he was in if nobody was allowed to be in a good mood unless he was in a good mood.
right.
It was torture.
And when you did you call the 800 hotline? I heard you say that you were on the line with them and you were questioning whether or not you were in a relationship that was abusive. What did they indicate to you?
Yes,
They said that you
when
were.
I
Okay.
yeah when I told them everything, they are the ones that they told me, yes, you are being mentally and emotionally abused, and they did ask if I had a safe place to go. And at the time I wasn't even sure how I would leave, because my financial life, my finances had been stripped away from me. Where am I going to go? I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have a job. I've got three small children. um and I believe that's a lot of fear that a lot of women have. That's why they stay, and that is not a reason to stay.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you said that because it's
I mean,
yep. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that is that is not a reason to stay. I I finally, I left with nothing but my clothes and my children. I mean, I was basically homeless. I stayed with my sister with three kids, and I mean, she had a family of four children, a husband, and herself, and we all piled up in one house just so I could be somewhere safe with my kids.
What was so you left? Um, was it one time you left, or was there multiple times? How did
there
that
were
go for you?
there was multiple times. There was a time that I tried to leave him, and he pulled up and caught me, and he sliced the tires. He
Mm,
ran his vehicle into the back of my vehicle. I had to call the cops. My mother come and picked me up once. And he would always convince me, just come back home. I realize, how I'm treating you and the kids is wrong. And it was like it was a cycle. It'd be like I would go back, and 3 months of it would be great, and then would just go right back to, you know, taking taking my life away from me, taking, my family away from me. And so I would leave.
okay.
But yeah, there was definitely a cycle to where I probably went back to him 6 or 7 times.
6 or 7 times. And we talked about that before. The statistics say that it's seven up to 7 times that a woman will leave and go back and leave and go back before she leaves for good one way or the other. And so thank you for your transparency with that. And so you finally left um, after how long? And then go from there. Just start from there.
There was a good stretch. I was exhausted. I I was tired of going back and leaving. I remember going to church one evening, and there was an altar call.
Mm-hmm.
And that night I went to the altar, and it was in that moment I asked God to cleanse me of any desire to want to be with that man. And I felt the spirit move all over me like he's never done before and cleansed me of that desire. And I started doing things in my life that strengthened me.
Mm,
I started finding things in my life that I enjoyed. I started spending time with my kids, started spending time with my family. I was happy.
mm-hmm.
And there was a moment, somehow I let him back into my life. And that last time, it only we were only together for about a month, and I said, no, we're not doing this. I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the final time. I moved on with my life. He moved on with his life. I started dating.
Mm-hmm.
And previously, when we started talking about this, I don't know if you remember, I told you I dated a guy when I was about 20.
Yes.
Are you there, Sabrina?
Yes. Yes, I'm here. I'm listening.
Um, that was about 15 years back in my past. Well, I we had ran into each other and we started dating again.
Okay.
Um,
What is that? That's a beautiful picture you have there.
huh?
Behind, I said that's a beautiful picture you have behind you.
Thank you.
Hmm.
And that is him. I don't know what happened to my ex husband for him to break the way that he broke.
So you split up after getting back together, and you said it didn't take but maybe about 30 days, and you realized that
Yeah,
nope, we can't do it again. I'm
it was,
tired of it. I can't try
we're
anymore.
done.
We're done. We're done at this point. And so you moved out with the kids, or did he move out? How did that go for you?
He moved out.
Okay, so he moved
So
out of the house. You and the children,
yeah, he moved out of the house,
okay.
and you know, um, we were in a rent house at this time,
Hmm.
um, and then I moved to a different location as well.
Okay. So you're no longer
Um,
in the shared home. You moved on into your home, and he
yeah,
was gone. And so, of course, you wanted to live your life,
yeah.
and so you started to date again, and things that were going well. So just we can pick up from there and
I
take
was
your
doing
time.
good.
Hmm.
Was happy. I moved on. I was sitting in my home one night and I was watching a movie with my boyfriend. He had come over to visit me. Um,
You want to
and there
share?
was a
You want to share
noise.
his name?
Huh?
Do you want to share your boyfriend's name?
Yes, Randall Hogan. Randall jumped up and went to the front door because he had heard something. And I asked him, I said, "What are you doing?" And he was trying to push the door. I could see somebody, trying to block somebody out. And I'm like, Randall, who's out there?
Hmm.
And he told me, he said, "Justin." Well, the door busted in and all the lights, they went off. I couldn't see anything. I didn't know what was going on. And I turned the light on, and Justin had broke in my home, and he had Randall pinned in the floor with a gun to the back of his head.
Mm.
I immediately asked him, what are you doing? What are you like? Are you on drugs or something? Like what are you doing? And he got Randall up off the floor and he told us to go get in the truck. And he took us out of my home that night at gunpoint. And he took us down to a lake just right down the road from where I lived.
It's okay. You're
He
safe.
shot Randall and killed him that night.
Mm. Jesus.
I screamed and he spun and shot at me. By the grace of God, he missed me. Um, he jumped in the back seat with me and he zip tied me up, hands and feet.
Mm.
He drove me to another location way out in the woods, and he left me there and duct taped me to a tree. And the vehicle we were in was Randall's truck. He drove Randall's truck back into town. Still to this day, I don't know where he took it. It had Randall's body in it. He come back to the woods and got me and took me to a different location where he picked up another gun, and then we went to another location, and, and he raped me. I went into survival mode in a lot of this, Sabrina, to just, save my life. And I just told him, we could get back together, whatever it took, that everything, was going to be okay. I was trying to survive. All I could think about was my children. All I could think about was, is Randall okay? Because I didn't know if he'd passed. I was sitting in the back seat behind him. After he raped me and we drove back, he let me go. He had a burner phone with him that we called 911 on, and he wrote down on a sheet of paper what I had to tell the cops. And he had a knife to my side, and he told me if I messed anything up or said anything wrong, he would stab me and kill me right there. He drove me back into town and let me go. I ran to the police department, and where we live here, there's a phone outside on the wall. You can pick it up if you need emergency assistance. And I picked that phone up, and an officer came and got me. They found him. He turned himself in. Uh, I was at the police department all night with my children. My kids come up there. My kids' stepmother and their father come up there to be with us as well with the kids.
So let's talk a little bit. Let me just say how strong you are for sharing that story publicly for the first time ever. I want to acknowledge that it could not have been easy for you to say your name. I can imagine what you're feeling even right now, Sharia. And I'm sorry for what you have gone through. And despite the years that have gone by since this tragedy, it still impacts you. And I can tell when we talk all the time. I can tell how much this still impacts you. And so for that, I'm deeply sorry. None of that was your fault. None of it. And I can only imagine that you feel like the person, Randall, his life is he's no longer with us as a result of your life. You that was not your fault. That was your ex-husband's fault. And we will put the blame where the blame belongs. And so I want to make sure I'm very sensitive to how you're feeling right now because it could not have been easy for you to share that with the world. I can imagine the trauma that you experienced watching someone come into your home in the middle of the night and kidnapping you and your significant other. That in and of itself started the trajectory of all of this, which you're experiencing right now. And then not to just kidnap you. This seems to be premeditated because you said it, he had the zip ties,
Yeah,
he had a burner phone.
yeah,
So this was all premeditated, y'all. Premeditated.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And
I mean, let me step away from some.
and so I'll continue to talk because this is what we're talking about. You don't know when somebody is going to snap. You just
No.
don't know. You have no idea. We're in these relationships and they're unhealthy and they're toxic and they're abusive, and we're sitting here trying to figure out what's going on, what's wrong with me, why am I going through this, and you know, do you realize that at any moment, look, I'm getting animated because I get animated. Y'all know Doc gets animated. At any
Come on.
moment, anything like this could happen to you, to you. And so let's continue, Sharia, that he came in the house, he kidnapped you all at gunpoint, put you
Yes.
all in Randall's truck. He got in the
Yes.
driver's side. Randall was in the passenger side. You was in the back seat behind
Hmm.
Randall, it sounds like. And he took you
Yes.
all a few miles away to a wooded area. And in that moment, he parked the car and reached over and shot Randall.
Yes.
And naturally, that made you scream. And so, what did he do then? He had to make sure he took your voice away from you, and he shot at you. And I thank God he missed. I'm so sorry to you and Randall's family, to what happened to him. It was not your fault, Sharia. It was not. It was not.
Thank you, Sabrina.
And so, I we've talked many times now, Sharia, and we talk about, we understand that this is the work of God, that in order for others to come out of the darkness, some of us has to come out and say this is what happened. And
Yeah.
so for those who are watching and listening right now, you don't know when this might be you. And I'm going to allow, Cherie is going to finish talking, but it's just imperative that we don't take this lightly. Domestic violence, because we're going to
Yes.
call it what it is. We can label it as, pathological behavior. We can label it as narcissistic behavior. We can label it anything we want, but abuse is abuse is abuse, and there is zero tolerance for abuse. And so, Sharia, let's come back to where you said that he you went into survival mode. And that
Yes.
survival mode was to say to him, I love you. We can work it out. We can get through this together. We can get back together. Can you imagine, you all, how hard that must have been for her to do? She just watched the man that she loved be murdered, or not. She didn't even know what his existence was. All she saw was him get shot. Where did he get shot at?
He got shot in the neck.
Shot in the neck. So she has no clue as to what happened, if he was alive or if he was not. But she had to go in survival mode to say, hey, we can make it, we can get back together, we can do this. I'll I'll let the police know I did it. She went into survival mode, which I believe is the reason why she's sitting here today, because she went in survival mode. And so when you called the police department and he had the knife, to you said, to your side, and you told them,
Mm.
what did you tell them?
I had to call them off and tell them that I had done it.
Okay.
And once I got freed and I got to the to the fire department where they had the phone, I called them and told them that I had been held hostage by my ex-husband, and that my ex-husband just shot my boyfriend. A police officer came and picked me up and took me to the police department,
Okay.
and that's I was there for quite some time. The next 24 hours, because they had to go and get him, and they found him, and he turned himself in. I had to go to the hospital and have a rape test done and go through a lot.
Mm. And so you going through this traumatic experience. I'm sure you never saw this coming.
No,
You had
absolutely
no.
not.
Did he have weapons in the home when you all were together? Was that something that he commonly had?
No, I mean, what he had, he had hunting rifles and bow and arrows, but
Right.
nothing
Nothing
like
like
a
that.
bunch of weapons or anything like that. I
Right.
mean, you would never even think that he would have that ability in him. He was a good dad. He was, and he was he had two amazing daughters. I mean, to his own children, he was a good dad.
And
I mean, he was an upstanding, on the outside.
on the
I mean, you didn't see
outside,
what was going, on the outside. You didn't see what was going on the inside in our home. You know, torture. I mean, emotionally and mentally, you didn't get to see that. But on the outside, we looked like this perfect couple. This perfect family, this perfect
right?
blended family. You
Yes,
know,
yes.
but once we were home, I mean, sorry, my dogs are going nuts. um,
So
but
to the world, it just looked like you all were the perfect blended family.
yeah,
And but
oh yeah,
inside and behind closed doors, and I'm sure the viewers can attest to this. Inside behind closed doors, there is some trauma taking place, some evilness taking place, and it stays. Don't say anything.
yeah,
Don't say anything.
yeah.
I'm sure plenty of people can
Now
relate to that right now.
my family, they knew that I was unhappy. They knew that things were unhealthy. My sister, she would try, many times, to try to tell me, you know, sister, you're not being treated right. You and the kids need to get out, and I didn't listen.
Hmm. And so
So
now he's captured. He goes and, tell us from that point forward what happened with the case. How has it impacted your life even today? Because I think that was back in 2015 or 16 that this happened.
15,
15.
15,
Okay. So
2015.
2015 that this took place. What has been going on since 2015? I can imagine going through the trial period, what that brought. You had to testify. Talk to us about what that
Um,
looked like for you.
the trial took about a year. I
Okay.
was very, very blessed with the support group that I had throughout the trial. Um, as I'd mentioned earlier, my children's dad, he remarried, and the woman that he was married to, her and I co-parented very well together, and we became best friends. And I was lucky enough to have her by my side. Um, she helped me out tremendously. My kids, she made sure my kids were taken care of, whatever they needed, so that I could rest and heal, but also had the support and love from my church.
Hmm.
And after the trial was over, he got a sentence of life with the possibility of parole.
Okay.
I went through some really deep, dark depression. I probably laid in bed probably 3 years of my
Mm.
life. I put the mama face on to try to look good in front of my kids. Mama's okay, but they knew they knew that I wasn't okay. Um, there's this foundation. It's called a Unique Foundation, and they work with trauma victims, people that's been sexually molested or abused. And my church raised the money for me to go to that retreat so that I could get some professional counseling.
Hmm.
Um, and in that, we focused on grounding, like grounding work. They teach you, how to focus on eating healthy, because it matters what goes inside your body to heal you from trauma. Um, they taught us how to do yoga. I had a lot of love and support, but even though I had that, there were times that I felt so alone. I felt attacked. I felt blame that I took on blame that it was my fault. What could I have done differently?
Yeah. 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 And so, thank you for that. That could not have been easy to even express that how you went, afterwards and tried to get the help that you laid in bed for 3 years. 3 years of your life went by, and no doubt depression probably set in. Anxiety, fear, something happening.
I would lay there and cry, Sabrina, just
Yeah.
like, why God? Why me? From childhood to now, why me? And I remember, praying out and crying to God. I need a friend. I need somebody, send me somebody. I need somebody to talk to.
Hmm.
It wasn't easy.
And so, has it? You're still living in the same area that this took place. Is that correct? Where the
I am.
tragedy took place. Okay, so you're still in that particular area.
Yes,
Okay. And is it difficult for
yes,
you to
ma'am.
pass by that area? I don't know if you have to pass by the area sometimes, but do you find that, it
Uh,
you remember and you start thinking about what happened to you?
it used to be very difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go visit that place or that area for a long time. Um, but it's been 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay.
I can go down there now and
Okay.
sit
Okay.
and but I don't have to drive by it on a daily or anything like that.
Right,
But
right.
I have gone down there to sit for healing. So
Right. No, thank you for sharing it. And I want to just say this, for you all that are watching us right now tonight,
high fives.
Shattering the Silence is a platform underneath Say Your Name. Say Your Name is a nonprofit organization that provides support, that provides assistance. And so for this is a platform for you. This is a platform where you can tell your story, say your name, rewrite it, and take back your power. But we do other things also. And so, what I want to say here at this moment is if you feel led to donate to this organization to be able to continue to do the things that we do, the work that we do, to help survivors and thrivers to be able to reclaim their life, please go to our website and donate. www.sayyournameinc.org. There's a donate button that's right to the top right of the website. But we need your partnership and your support to be able to continue to provide these avenues for people to say their name, to be able to continue to bring education and awareness and provide support, not just spiritual support, but practical support. So if you don't mind, please go to our website at www.sayyournameinc.org and donate to our organization. Sharia, I wanted to ask you, now that you have gotten, it's been, you said 7 years since this has
Mm-hmm.
happened, and I noticed that you have the picture behind you. Do you want to show the viewers the photo? Do you want to just point it out and say who that photo is behind
Yeah.
you?
Yes.
So, mhm.
So this is Randall, and his life mattered, and his life was taken brutally at the hands of my abuser.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much, Sharia, for sharing that. Just a couple of other things that I kind of want you to talk to the viewers about, and this is very, very important. What advice would you give to someone watching this broadcast that is in an abusive relationship that had didn't realize that because it wasn't physical, then maybe it's not abuse? What would you tell? Because this is the important piece of this, because we have viewers that are watching and that will watch this live or this stream even after tonight. What would you say to them? Just have free reign.
Get out. Get out. If you discern that you are being abused, it doesn't have to be a black eye. It doesn't have to be a fat lip. It can be name calling. It could be screaming. It could be taking away your finances so that you feel trapped at home or you can't go or do anything else. Abuse is not just physical.
Mm,
My abuse at home was physical. Never, not once did my ex husband hit me.
And that's the
He
important.
mentally and
Mhm.
emotionally exhausted me, and he
Mhm.
mentally and emotionally exhausted my children.
Mm.
And now my children, they're grown and they have children of their own, and I can't imagine how they felt watching that, or having to watch a traumatized mother heal. So get your babies out, even if they are the biological father or mother to your children. It is the get your babies out.
And how did
There's
this?
help. There's help out there. Get help. God
Mm.
will lead the way. He has led. He's led me. I was homeless,
Mm.
nowhere to go. Thank God for the friends that opened their doors to me and my children. But He has made a way for me, and He will make a way for you.
Yes. How are the children impacted? What did they go through? Because they were impacted too when this happened in 2015. What did they go through? Was there feelings of guilt? Was there feelings of I should have, known better? I should have been there to help or protect my mother? Because children take that on. They do.
Yes, Sabrina. Um, my youngest son, and I'm not going to say my kids' names on
No,
here.
we don't want you to do that.
Um, my youngest son, he was pretty small, and he happened to be outside playing that day with one of the neighbors, and
Okay.
he seen my ex-husband traveling, circling the house. Well, he had come in the house to tell me, Mama, Justin's outside driving around, but I was in the bath.
Mm,
So,
okay.
he's a small kid.
Right, right, right,
He went back outside to play and forgot to tell me. And my boyfriend had already made it over to the house, and
right.
him and
Okay.
we took my son to a skating rink that we have here
Okay.
in town. We dropped him off to skate. That's the last time he got to see Randall.
Mm,
And so he did. He took that on as blame, and he's told me, Mama, I wish I would have just stayed at home, or Mom, I wish I wouldn't have forgot to tell you that I seen him driving around. And I've had to reassure my son that it's not your fault. You did nothing wrong. And I thank God every day that we dropped you off at the skating rink,
mm,
because you know I couldn't handle if something bad would have happened to my child.
right. Right.
Um, he tried reaching out to mother, and I believe part of this is the premeditation part of it. He reached out to my daughter about a month or so before he did this, letting her know that he'd gotten a new gun. He tried to meet up with my daughter in town, and now, mind you, this is my kid that he emotionally abused. He didn't have much to do with my daughter.
Mm,
He, you know, while we were married, she was the one he was making her feel less than who she is. And I believe that my daughter deals with that today as a grown woman, you know, um, finding value.
right. Right.
The kids definitely have suffered, and they're still healing too.
Okay. And so as a
And for my
fam.
oldest son,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm,
they were close,
okay.
and my son did look up to him as a father figure. I mean, that crushed him. And I remember, there's some. I remember the words that come out of my son's mouth. Mom, he raped you.
Mm,
You know. So
yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Because that's just goes to show, and talking to the viewers, how domestic abuse does not just end with you. It impacts everyone around you. And it doesn't mean that they necessarily have to be inside of your home. It impacts your relationships with your parents, with your grandparents, with your friends, with your colleagues at work, with your school buddies, your children. Abuse is abuse is abuse. And the longer you stay in it, you all have heard Dr. Whitlock say this before. The longer you stay in the abusive relationship, the longer you will stay in the abusive relationship, because we become conditioned to be able to accept and have a high resilience and tolerance for abuse. And the next thing you know, years of your life have gone by and you are in this relationship and you feel like, what's the use of coming out of it? And there is a need for you to come out of it because your children deserve a healthy parent, whether it's a mother or a father. Your children deserve a healthy parent. They don't deserve a parent that is traumatized and operating in life through a lens of trauma and abuse. And so, Sharia, I wanted to give you any last words that you wanted to give to the viewers, right? Because the reason why we're here is so you all can identify that you are not in this alone. You are not alone. There are countless. I talk to hundreds of you every day about what's taking place in your life behind closed doors. And I'm saying to you every day, say your name. This is about empowerment. This is rewriting your story. And the only way you're going to take back your power is when you identify who you are and who you're not. And so, what would you say as your final words to those who are viewing us right now, Sharia, who are sitting there, men and women alike, and are dealing with abuse and thinking, "Oh, I'm not being hit," or "It's not that bad. It's over every now and then." He may scream at me, or he may put his hands on me, or maybe shove me against the wall. And there is somebody out here who's being beat, right? So, what would you
One time
say?
is too many.
One time, you heard that? One time. Say it again, Cherie. I want to come from you. I want to come from you. Say it again.
One time is too many.
I don't even know if I can say anything beyond that. It's a benediction time now. Yes, one time is too many. So ask yourself, has there been one time where you were called out of your name, where somebody was gaslighting you? Was there one time that somebody took away your trust? Was there one time when somebody violated you? Was there one time, just one time, when somebody punched you in your face? Was there just one time when you were shoved up against a wall and screamed at? Was there one time when you were maybe accidentally fell down the steps? Was there just one time that this happened to you? And if it is, one time, like Sharia said, is way too many. I am Dr. Whitlock. This is the premiere episode of Shattering the Silence. Again, we would love for you to say your name. If you are interested in saying your name and being a featured guest on this show, please reach out to me at info@sayyournameinc.org. That's the email address for the organization. Or just go to our website and submit a request. If you feel like you want to and you're ready to say your name, to take back your identity, to rewrite your story, I need you to reach out to me. I need you to reach out to me, and we can make those arrangements so you can take back your life. It starts here. It starts here. And so, again, www.sayyournameinc.org. That is our website address. The donate button is up on the top right-hand side. We look forward to being here with you every Monday and Wednesday at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will shatter the silence. I am Dr. Whitlock. Say your name. Thank you so much, Sharia. I love you. You have been
Thank you,
very
Spring.
brave in telling
And
your.
just and I just have to say there's hope. There's hope. And there's a brighter future
Mhm.
that's ahead. And I know that it's scary. Please get out of your situation.
Mm.
There may come a, a time or a day where you can't get out. Don't wait and don't let it become that. I almost didn't make it. My children were almost without a mother. So get out, give your babies a healthy life. Um, my life is beautiful now. I have a wonderful family. I'm dating healthy. I'm learning how to date healthy. Just just know there's hope and there's help, and lean in and press in to God.
Yes, yes. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. I can't. I look, y'all. I can't. You know, how Doc be. I can't say anything additional. Look, I'm out of the camera. You. I can't say anything to. Yeah. That's. We're gonna end on that note, y'all. And again, if you need support, um, resources, help, guidance, you want to say your name on this program, you have to reach out to me through the contact form on our website. I'm also on all platforms of social media, whether it's Facebook under Say Your Name Inc. Instagram is also Say Your Name. TikTok is under Dr. Whitlock. And there are contact forms if you need, services. If you're looking for somebody to be a guide, I'm also a life coach. And so we heal together. We heal out loud. We take this journey together because, as she said, one time is too many. Say your name. So we will see you all on Wednesday evening at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am Dr. Whitlock. This is Shattering the Silence. Enjoy your evening and good night.
Do I have I believe that a lot of women are suffering with emotional and mental abuse, and they're not viewing that as abuse.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Whitlock, and welcome to Shattering the Silence. At Say Your Name, we provide services for survivors and thrivers of domestic abuse. What we do understand is that when women and men are abused, their voices are taken. They lose their autonomy, they lose their selves. Say Your Name is about empowerment, it's about rewriting your story.
Hello, my name is Sharia, and I want to say my name.